Okay, cool. So yesterday we ended at looking into the main storyboard. Correct. We didn't discuss about. Okay, okay. Well, let's take a pause. Okay, fine. You come back. Anyways, we are recording. Okay. Mute all, manage share. Okay, fine. We can get started. In the previous lesson, we covered what we did is we just placed a label and we tried using the simple like whatever the constraints which Xcode lets us add, we added that, and this is what we saw. There was a problem with this. So if you're running on assume it iPhone X, so this is what we were getting. So this is a blank view. It should show label somewhere. Okay, I think the label is missing, maybe because of, yeah, so label is here. But the same thing if you try on iPad Air 2, it will look something like this. Okay, so you see here, the label is actually not correctly placed. What we were seeing here is we wanted to place label somewhere in the center of the screen, not exactly center, but horizontally center, and somewhere from the top constraint we wanted to give say like 100 pixels, and we wanted the label to be there itself, and it is coming somewhere here. So what we will do in today's lesson is we'll correctly place it. We'll understand how auto layouts work, a basic of it. And before that, I would like to show you what exactly you get here on this panel. So when we click on this, you could see like we have this button, which will actually let you decrease the size of the view when you're working on it. Okay, you have multiple other options, which I would be addressing it one by one. This button, which is grayed out as of now, sometimes what happens is you add update the constraints. So that time you will have this option enabled where you can click and refresh the constraint here itself. Okay, so assume if I wanted a layout of a iPad Pro. So what I need to do is I need to click on this. So what we did is, yeah, Damodar, please go ahead. Yes, correct. You click on this. You click here. There are two options. Two buttons are there. So this is the button to show you the left pane here, what all view controllers. So assume you have multiple view controllers, the list would be shown here. So how you can hide it? Clicking on this button. Okay, this button. And if you click on this will give you an option to see all the available devices. So see here, if I get into the iPad, I have all the devices. I can see like how this will look on iPhone 4S. So actually, before actually running into the simulator, we know there is something wrong. Okay. And yesterday I told you there is something called assistant editor. It becomes very handy when we are actually working on storyboards. How it becomes handy? I'll just click on it. It gives me a new window. So basically, whenever we say like we added any UI elements into the view controller, we need some connection, like how this will behave in the code. So here you could see the coding file and what all actions you wanted to perform. We'll do that. I think it will be more clear once we do that part. Okay. And one more option I wanted to show you is when I say like I wanted a preview of the app. So there is, you open the storyboard. There was a direct way of going there, but I don't remember it now. But if you go to open storyboard and then you will say preview storyboard, this will give you an option. So this is a very interesting one. Where did my view controller go? Yes, here it is. Okay, so you could sometimes there can be a possibility you're working on only one screen. So in our case, we are working on 4S, correct? But here you have additional simulator where you can actually preview it, how this will look on iPhone. Say like I wanted to see it on iPad, how the layout will look on iPad. So this becomes very handy when you don't want to run it on the simulator or on the actual device, but you wanted to see the preview. So this is something what you have done on the storyboard, you wanted to preview it. You can do work on views in your class also, like you can programmatically also change the view presentation and all that you won't be able to see. But you could see like you can see how it is on iPhone 4S. You can from here only you can see if we are going on a landscape mode how it is behaving and all that. That is given by Xcode only. You still doesn't wanted to go to any simulators if you wanted to see that. Okay, and here the next tab is the orientation. So while working on things, you can actually click on the orientation and you can see like how this will look on the different orientations. Okay, are you able to follow up till now? Okay.
One question: how did the pane with the code for that corresponding layout?
Yes,
show
so
up on
so
your
for
right
that
side?
I'm actually still on the main. So here you could see show the assistant editor. So when you click on this, it will open up one more window. Okay, and if you wanted to go here, you can have option of previewing. You can go to storyboard and then you can again click on this to preview it. You can click here, you can go here and you can go to preview. There was a, I think, I don't know the shortcut for that. There was an option from here only. If you have opened, you will, okay, see here. So I think I've missed out on this. You could see this icon here. If you click on this, you can directly say preview main storyboard. So you have option from there also. So not the two steps which I showed you. It can be done with one click. Okay. So these are the options which I wanted to tell you. This
Gaurav, one question. Like you have told that there are two previews, right? So can we view multiple, like only two, or is there any limitation for that?
So basically, when you are designing, you will get two options here. So say like the orientations are portrait and landscape.
Yeah.
So since we have multiple set of devices, when you're building, sometimes you get restricted to only one device. But when you are building your application as a universal application, you wanted to see it on multiple devices. So then this window becomes handy. So you can keep on adding.
Okay.
I can add iPhone 8, I can add 4S, 4S, I can add XR. So you can see here we are getting to see label on multiple screens.
Correct. Yeah.
Correct. So this feature of Xcode is quite handy, where like you don't have to run the application, but you can preview how the layout will look. Okay, so let's get into this introductory part where I'll actually give you the use of it once we actually start playing, where to place the label, how to place the label. So look, the very first this thing, it says embedded in. So assume if I have, we'll take example of this. Okay, so now what we have is there is a view. Okay, on the top there is a label. Okay, so let me give you an example. So basically previously when we design something, my bad, I'll keep on forgetting. So UI view. Okay, what I'll do is I'll just delete this label and we can start working on this. I'll create a label with background color black. Okay, and I'll take one more. Okay, let me actually show you with one example and then it will progress it. Okay, I wanted this label to be placed in the center. So here, if I wanted this label to be, you could see how if I don't add any constraint, this is on 4S. How does it look? On iPad Pro, it will look like something this, and on all the other devices, which is actually not the correct representation. When we wanted the view, while designing, we wanted the view like this on all the screens. So that's where we'll say like, okay, we'll go and we'll click on this uh, first, second, third, fourth button, which says add constraints. So the easiest way is like, I'll say from top, okay, bottom, this and this. I'll add it. I'll show you what is the problem with this, but we'll see like what it will let us achieve. Okay, I'll click on this. Okay, you could see like what the proportion of the view has been changed when we view it on say 4S, but when you go on iPad Pro, on iPad 8, 4S, and this, and if I go in landscape, see the proportion is quite completely changed. The problem comes when you wanted to actually show something here and you assume it has to be this much, but the moment a user goes on the landscape mode, you don't have enough space to actually show the labels. So that's where the problem comes. So what we should do is I'll click on this third option. Since I've added constraint on this view, I will do clear constraint. So if you see here, the selection says this is the selected view. And if you wanted to do all views in view controller, you have to clear constraint from here. So what I'll do, I'll clear constraint from here. And now what all constraints I should be adding it to get it properly. Okay. So what I'll do is if I open this, okay, there are multiple ways to add constraint. So you can actually click on control key. Since this view is selected, we'll say like container view to be, it will become more readable. And now this is the actually the super view for this container view. You could see the hierarchy here, like view controller has a view and then it has a container view. So you can actually press control and then drag it to the super view to see the options. So it will tell you the leading space to the safe area, top space to trailing, bottom. So this is quite clear, like we did in the previous step. What we did from the top, left, right, and bottom, we actually attached it, but we realized this is not actually serving us. Okay. Then we get into, we have center horizontally in this safe area, center vertically. Okay. So here, what we are trying to do is actually we are trying to place this center horizontally and center vertically. Okay. So I will press command and try to click both of this. Okay. Now I have, now I told you like sometimes when your view is placed at some place, but your constraint wanted it to be at another place, you will get this update frame. So I'll just click on this if this does something. Okay. It's not doing maybe. So what we did is we added two constraints. Now, when we added constraint, it says your view still wants some other values to be shown correctly in the. So it says add missing constraint for container view. This will add enough constraint. So this is not actually helping us. If I click on this, it will just add, and we don't know what has happened. So I'll press Command G. We'll stay with this error. So before that, what I would like to show you, I think I won't be able to show you here because I wanted a drawing part. What is that safe area? I'll explain. So safe area, when we talk about iPhone X, you have that bulge, yes, and on the bottom also. And now it's rounded edges. So your button should not go there, like on the, when you are on portrait mode, you should not keep it on the top, so that when you go in the landscape mode, that curve should not hide your button. So that safe area is there. So we need to respect it because we will be building for all the different devices. So let me draw. I think Abhilash won't be able to see that, but I'll draw it. I cannot draw it here. We have so This is how we actually show any view. We wanted to represent a view which should be correctly placed in this. Okay, so we know this is our x axis and then y axis. Okay, and I wanted an object to be placed here. So what exactly I need in this place? Correct. So I need, this is x position and y position of this. Okay, and width and height. This would help me actually get the object placed correctly into the, what do we call this? Area. Some we used to represent, okay, how the x-axis, y-axis. I am not able to collect it. Okay, anyways, this is how, so what we need minimum of 4 constraints for Xcode to understand how to represent an object in this specific place. Okay, what else I could do? So say if I'll take an example of a view. So this has some value x, y, width, height already. Now what I am doing is I'm adding a subview to this, and I wanted it to be placed somewhere here like this. Okay. So same thing. What I wanted is x, y, width, and height. Okay. So this will make sure my object with the same width and height should be shown across all the devices. We'll see this part, and then I'll show you like how we can actually. So here, coming back to this, so assume if we wanted to represent this guy, okay, this is my view, which I wanted to be like this. I'll go again, I'll say clear constraint, I don't need. So what all information I need is to represent an object into the coordinate system. I'll click on this, what we discussed about x and y, correct? So this specific play, which is called the leading constraint, will give us the x position. Okay, from the top, when we'll get the y position. Okay, we'll add these constraints, and what we need is width and height, the one which I've shown you in the example. So what we did,
making it relative to the script depending on the aspect ratio. The
no, this will not go. Why this will not go? When you say width and height is restricted.
Oh, you fixed it.
It is fixed. I will show you the other part also related to the screen. So this is a basic representation in the word system, how we wanted to show present an object, like it should be on the correct position. So this, I will add it. It will not show any problem because what it has got correct positioning and all that. Okay. For the view to be shown in the actually the super view. So we have a subview we wanted to show in super view. With this, it has given us enough constraints to show it in the super view. We'll get into complicated problems later, but we'll go with this. Now with this, what has happened? Now since the top is fixed, and you could see on iPhone 4S landscape, correct? It will still get fixed here. Okay, axis still same. You could see here and here. And if we go to iPhone X, this is the part which we were talking about, safe area. Okay, axis still same. It is respecting that part, and from the top also, y is same, and width and height is same. But this is not what we need. Here it is fine because we designed it for 4S. But the moment we move to iPad and other devices, the representation is completely different. So what we wanted to do is, I'll again go here since the view is selected on the last option, and I'll say clear constraint. Now I wanted this view to be centered horizontally and vertically, and I need to give width and height. So what I will do is, I know it is in the specific plane. So like I know this is here. So what I'll do, I'll control this and then this. I'll say I wanted center. I'll press command center horizontally in the safe area, center vertically in the safe area. Now it knows I need to show the object in the center of the screen. Okay. but still you could see it is not reflected on the other parts of the screen. Correct? Why? It needs more constraint, and this is showing the red line. So it is saying it doesn't have enough constraint to show itself in the URL. So we'll go ahead again. It is still not relative. I'll say equal width and equal height. Okay. Okay. So it has covered the screen. Correct. So what we will do, okay, with this also we can go ahead. Now what I'll do, I'll click on this. Here I could see the list of constraints. So when I say container width equals super view width, this is not what we wanted is, but we wanted to fix this width. So again, let's go. We'll select this view. We'll go here. We'll say no, these constraints are not correct for us. So we'll go back. I'll press Command Z. I wanted equal width of this. So I'll control, I'll drag. This is another way of writing. So you could see, like, if I'm actually dragging on the axis, it says you're talking about width. So it gives you that. If I go like this, it'll say you are talking about height. Okay. So I told now the height should remain fixed. Okay. But what I wanted is control, again this, I wanted it to be center horizontally, center vertically. So you saw everything turned into green. Now what we wanted is it has to be in the center. Okay. And if we see other views, it is correctly placed in the position. Correct. I will show you in this next lesson where, like, actually the Damodar spoke about the relative part of it. Like if in iPhone we have less space, so this can be used, but here we can actually make use of this space. That will take a second, some other tutorial where we'll go deep, we'll get deep dive into like how exactly AutoLayout is and how we can see. And what I wanted to show, other options which are there in Xcode we still have not discussed, is this pane. So here, if you click on this, so assume you have opened the main storyboard. Here, what it will do is it will give you the name of the class and other information, say path and all that. We won't be using this section a lot. Okay. And going to second section, it will actually talk about what exactly this is. So you can read here itself. You have here UI responder and can respond to touches and all that. It's in detail explanation. This also we don't that much while developing. Okay. And then we go to the third option. This becomes handy. That also I'll show you. Right now it shows like it's a subclass of UI view. So this becomes handy. Tomorrow I wanted my custom view to be this view as my custom view. So I create a class which is a subclass of UI view but have additional things. So instead of saying UI view, I will give that custom class name. Okay, like other options which are available for me in my code, I can give. Okay, and then I can say if I have different modules, I can say inherited from some specific modules. We are not working on that as of now. And this part is also, see, this is the key point where like we sometimes get into problem. We'll say the user interaction is enabled on this. So sometimes when we add buttons as subviews, we need user interaction enabled. So sometimes what happens is you by mistake click from here and then you say like it is actually button you could see, but you cannot actually click on that. So these are good options to play around with. You can actually check what all you can do here. And then the accessibility label. This is also a very important aspect. So when we say this helps your application to actually reach out to big audience, because some people cannot interact with the device, and then they cannot interact with the app also. So say if someone cannot actually visually could see your application, but clicking on some parts of the part of the application, it will actually sound. So they could actually click on the button which will say this is a back button. So accessibility actually opens up a big number of audience for you. And some people like they know if they tap on the top what exactly the button has done. They cannot see the screen, but they can, with the interaction, they could learn that. So this is very important aspect when we are building an application. These should be addressed. And then we have a localization concept where like you wanted to target big audience, say like you will go native. So not restricted to one language, but your application can be translated based on the region. That also I'll show you how we can do that. Okay, so this, you remember it, like it's very important aspect when you're building the application, because this will make you help the audience to interact with your app, and this will eventually, it will help you. Okay, we'll go to the third part of it. What it does is it tells me the view, the content mode, semantics. If I wanted to add a tag, I'll show you, like if you have multiple views and you wanted to identify. So all are the part of UI view class, but when the interaction happen, you wanted to set tag 0, 1, 2. So this is kind of identifier. When you interact with it, you get 0 view with tag 0 got interacted. So you will get that information. So you can do whatever operations you wanted to do. Okay. Again, we saw this user interaction enabled on the view. So you have button here, it will show button and user interaction or other things. When we have button, we'll see that option also. Background color, tint color, drawing, hidden, and other properties. This you should actually play on your own, which will give you more information. Okay. So assume I'll open up the object library and I'll say UI button. Just wanted to show, like when button is added, you saw the moment I added button, it gave me so many things. But if I go to view, there's little less you can do with it. But if I click button, we have so many options which we can do here itself. Okay, again, it's good to go. I will show you a couple of things, like sometimes most of the times we have a image for the button. Okay, so here you give the button image. You can one part I wanted to highlight is here. So you can actually, there is predefined type of buttons which Xcode, you don't have to do much. So here is a detail I button. So you could see, correct, I, correct. This is the button which we didn't add any image and all that, but it's there predefined. We can change it to custom button, and then we can give whatever title. System button we have. Okay, and then detail disclosure, the one which I showed you, light button, and info dark, and context. So these are the default buttons. So let's go to the basic. We'll go to the custom button. I'll say this is button. Okay. Okay. Maybe the text color is white, so we cannot see that. Okay. So I'll go ahead and I'll change it to black. So now we can see button. Correct. What I wanted to show you is here there are different type of the properties or attributes given for the button. So one important thing I wanted to show you is this section. You could see, I think control. Okay. Okay, this section I wanted to show you. You could see default, highlighted, selected, disabled. Why I wanted to show you in the interface builder itself, because sometimes what we do is we set a here where we have set the default image. So we'll set an image here. We'll say if the state changes, so we'll go here, we'll change it to highlighted, and we'll set one more image. So then we don't have to do anything from the code. The moment the button state gets changes, it will be handling from here itself. You will not in the code, you will specify, okay, highlighted state image name is this. We can do all that here. And then there are different things which I will show you later how I can go back. Okay. Control up and down. So, and then you have other things like if you have the text, you can add line break and other options are there. Okay. This also you should play around with it. So assume my button is this big. Okay. I will set a background color to the button. Text color, there should be an option to set a background. So background I'll set. Okay. Now how this this alignment helps, you could see if you play with the alignment, this is right align, left align, center. You can play with it, okay, and see like how this is actually showing you the button positioning and alignment. You can do most of these things from the Xcode itself. Yeah. Yes.
These states, let's say all the three are selected. How will it behave now? Selected, enabled, and highlighted. What would that state indicate?
So basically, what we wanted it as the what all states we wanted it to be. So I say enabled state it is always. So these are the options again. Since it's a checkbox, you can have for the buttons all these states. Okay. And there is one more option which I wanted to show is with the font. Okay. So this is the place from where you can actually address and change font. This menu will give you enough option to play around with it. Okay. Again,
like decoration.
Yes, decoration part of it. Okay. Now I'll remove this button and we'll move to the view part where we'll go to the fourth section, which will actually show you the size inspector, where we'll see all the constraint part. So size inspector will have the frame, it'll show XY position here only. You could read it, okay, arranging and all that. And this is the constraint part of view part of it. Okay. So it shows this is the view area, how the view should be shown. Now you remember we aligned the view horizontally centered, correct? So what it says is these are the four constraints we added. You remember we told height and width is fixed, and alignment, it has to be aligned X and Y center, okay, including the safe area which I explained. Now it still gives you an option to edit it. If I click on edit, it will tell me what constant value which I added. Priority for now, you just remember if you have different set of priorities, 1000 being this, and something which has the priority 1000 will be treated on the top, whatever it is given, and below. This we will actually play around with this when we actually get into AutoLayout. Okay, multiplier also I'll explain you when the multiplier is useful. Just remember these things were there in the Xcode somewhere at this point in time. So this is one way of editing it. Another way of editing is you click on this. Okay, this opened the detailed window. These options we saw there, correct? Constant, this, okay, and then we saw multiplier. Here it shows the relationship. It'll say first item is container view width, okay, which is equal to some specific value. Okay, and then priority with this. Now, if you wanted your constraint to be identified with some unique identifier, you wanted to play it in the code, okay, with this you can get. Okay, if you wanted to verify what identifier you wanted to give, and then placeholder, remove all build time, and this is the plus button. What it does is, so since you are building it for multiple devices, so what you can do is, I can say constant is 225, but I'll say when the width is regular, height is regular, basically this is what iPad scale. I'll say add a variant. Okay, now what I'll say, here the constant, there is a plus button. Okay, I'll say for regular, add a variant. And where did that go? Okay, we'll click on this. Okay, we'll say width regular and all. I don't want width to be 225. I wanted width to be something, it's still fixed. Okay, but I'll say not 225, but I want 450. You could see here what the changes happened in the iPad preview. We could see the width is still same here, but for iPad, it has been changed. Okay, I'll show you one more thing where like, now with this section, what we are saying is install this constraint only on this. If I disable this, I'll say install this specific constraint only for iPad. So see, iPhone is disturbed now. If I go on, it has got disturbed. You got warning here. Something is wrong. Okay, you keep this installed. We wanted the same constraint to be installed on both the devices, and stick to constant 225 for everything, and when the width and height is regular, adjust it to this. Okay, let's get to the last, which actually shows if you have any outlet connections. Okay, so what we will do, we'll actually build a very, how much time we have? 5 minutes, correct? So we wanted this application as a hello world application. What I'll go is, I'll go here, I will delete this view by clicking delete button on the keyboard. I will remove this view area. So you can focus on this part. Now we have a view. I explained how we can change this. Okay, and the other information today we discussed about, and what all these things are doing. I didn't explain you in detail, which I will be taking care maybe later. Like, this is basically a stack view, what stack view is. Okay, this is where you can actually address alignment. You want it horizontally in the container, vertically in the container. This is again, if we have a sub view, we can add constraints here. Okay, and this is the last, which if you add a sub view, it will give you a selection where you can add missing constraint, reset to the suggested constraint, that on the sub view and on the parent view also, something like that. So we'll go to the object library. I'll take a UI label. Okay, I want my label. Now what we will do is, I will just print. Okay, so basically I want hello world to be displayed here. So how I'll add, I'll say I added a constraint. I'll say from top, keep it 100 only, always. Okay, so I added one constraint. Still it is confused. Top constraint you have given, but I wanted it to be not vertically center, but horizontally center. Okay, let's click control and on this view, and I'll say center horizontally in the safe area. So I gave one more constraint. Okay, see here, it says this is enough constraint to actually display this. So what I told, from top, I have given one position. I told center to the horizontal plane. So it got center points, correct? And it says it's enough for this. So what we will do, let's go and review it. Like whatever we are actually trying to. Okay, 1 second, I'll have this and then I'll preview it. Okay, come on. Okay, anyways, let's recent files, main storyboard. I think, I don't know why that option doesn't work. It again says preview. Okay, you saw this. It is still respecting the part how we wanted it to be. Sure. Okay, and on all the other devices in horizontal, in both rate, this is what we told, like, okay, from top we wanted it to be fixed, and I showed you one option, like here you can see the constraint, correct? Now if I go to the attribute inspector and I'll say like this, where the size inspector part, you saw this option, we fixed it to 100. For here what I'll do, I'll say okay, for regular I wanted to add a variant, but not 100. iPad has enough space, so I wanted it to be 300. You saw here. We wanted to see it on when it is on the landscape mode. It comes. Okay. Now what we will do is, we'll build the application on iPhone X and we'll see, can we. Okay, so we have our hello world application. So let's summarize what all we have learned in 2 lessons. We saw basic how to, when you open the Xcode, what all options we get. We have a playground, you can actually clone the repository, you can start a project. Then we had additional things, what type of project you can create. We went ahead with the single view application. I explained you this pane, like what all information we have here. You have a set catalog where like you can assets, what all applications, what all images you are using in the application you can have here. You can create multiple assets and you can, for the readability purpose. So like one specific screen, you can create one and all that. And then we discussed about what all methods are there, how they are representing the application state. When you go from foreground to background or background to foreground, you kill the application. What all information you can, these are the delegates which will actually help you to understand which state your application is in, and you wanted to do specific operation you can do. We still didn't dive into the view controller class, what all information it has. Maybe like in the next chapter, next lesson we'll go through this. Then I explained you storyboard and this pane, what it will have. So one part I wanted to show you one more thing, which will I think will cover. So I assume I wanted to add a UI view controller, one more. So this pane I was telling you, it will actually highlight what all view controllers you have. This is a simple view controller. Since it is not associated with some class, it will give you the correct class name. Okay. Right now we just simply added UI view controller, so it is giving like that. Then this shows you the hierarchy. You have a view controller, you have a content view. This is the content view. And if you have added anything in the content view, will be shown. So that we can see here. Again, we have a content view, but content view have a label. And if you have multiple things, say like I have a UL label, not label. Okay, see it short label. And one option I wanted to show you, sometimes when we are designing a form and all, what we wanted is we wanted this label to be copied multiple times. So you cannot click on this button and then type label and all that. So what you can do is you can do copy and paste, okay, which is the simple thing. Or what you can do is you select this and you say Command D, which is duplicate this, duplicate this, duplicate this. You can see here we have duplicate option. Okay, I think I've clicked so many times. Let me go back, and here we are with the hello world part. Okay, then we discussed about the left side, what all options we have. This option, this is sometimes when you need, I'll go to a class and you need a more viewing area where like you can code. So you can click on last option, you can hide this, you can click, you can hide this section as well, Navigator pane, and you have full view area. Okay, this option I showed you if you wanted to have a indicator, but you could see the option is still there. You can have assistant editor not on the right, but you can say I wanted it on bottom. Some people, this is again a preference wise, where how you prefer it. Editor stack horizontally. Okay, then you have these are options which you wanted to play around. Okay, and then this, see, this is useful. Say like I'll give you one scenario. You are on a storyboard, okay, and you wanted to see which class is associated with it. Okay, so I'll say editor on the right. So say like I have multiple buttons here and I wanted it to perform some operation and all that, and parallelly I could see in the class what is the functionality. Once we actually I'll show you how we can have control buttons and all in maybe tomorrow's lesson. There we could see like how this is more useful. Okay, and this option I didn't explain. This what it does is it's a version editor. Okay, if you have a version, like if we have our code on Xcode, so then it will become more useful. You could see who is the author, log, and all that. This also will see. We'll upload our code to GitHub, a public repository, and we'll see like how we can make use of these options. Okay, this I've explained you, like you can hide, you can unhide, you can, this is the debug area. And this also we discussed, like how you can have play, pause, over, and all that. You can see the view, debug, hierarchy, and all that. And here you will, if anything you are printing, so I'll say in the view controller, view did load, I will say print statement hello world. Okay, and if I run now in my debug area, I should see this print statement. So this becomes very handy, like if you have a big application and you have logs, like where your control is being, and somewhere it is breaking, so you know like it has covered this part and there might be it is breaking. So the log adds a lot of information. In that case, it is very helpful. And these things we have not discussed as of now. This I wanted to show you, like you wanted to search This is the simple search option. So I wanted to search if I have hello option, hello written somewhere. So it says you have in app delegate, hello world, view controller, the search option. You can restrict the search to the file also. So I'll say I wanted this to be searched only in this folder. Okay, you can specify the folders and all that. And this part I wanted to show you, like where like it is shown CPU, memory, disk usage, and breakpoint we discussed yesterday, like how we can add breakpoints we can see. But this is the place where you will see breakpoints added throughout your project. Okay, and this is the last part where you see like, okay, we just debugged hello world 932. Okay, what we wanted to print, debug area, and these are the things. Correct. So if you have say like some errors and all that, you could see there is one more pane, this which shows an error. So what we will do, what is error? Like something which compiler is not understanding. So what I'll do, I'll type something. Okay, so now you could see like it should take some time to actually, if I say save and build, it says, see here, you could see there is an error. It says use of unresolved identifier. If I click on this, you saw this took me to this error pane. Okay, shows the issue navigator. So this navigator, what it shows is errors or warnings. So how I can create a warning? So I'll create a constant, okay, equal to some value test. Okay, I created but I never used it. Correct. So this should be treated as warning. I'll delete this. Okay, I'll try to build it. See here, it says this is the warning. Okay, and we can actually this pane, this button actually shows you if there are errors or warnings. So what it says is initialization of immutable value. We created constant was never used. Consider replacing it with assigning it to something. We click on this. It gives us, don't give it name. Tell this if you're not making use of it. Equal to this. But this also doesn't resolve the thing. You can actually, use this syntax which will eliminate the warning. But if you're not using it, then it is of no use. I'll show you this part where it is actually handy, where this makes sense. Actually. Yes. We'll get into this part. Like it is going to be very interesting in this place. Okay. And you saw this button will show us the errors or the. So assume if I have warnings, I'll create some 4-5 warnings. Okay. Constant 1, constant 2, constant 3. Okay. So, okay, it created warning and then I created error. Okay. This pane list out all the information. It says there is an error. Okay. And it shows me where is the error. I will disable it and then I will run it. It will show me warning. This filter will also show you if you enable this, it will only highlight errors. So if in your project, say like some 50 warnings are there, which is not recommended to have, but there can be chances where where some software update or OS update has happened, some APIs are not of, like those are deprecated, so it will show you warning. That time you can filter only errors if you wanted to go ahead. So
till now we have seen unused variable, only if any variable which is defined and it is not yet going to getting warning.
Okay.
So what all cases we will see warning and
that's what just now I told. So assume like you had APIs to interact with before and those were up to date, but now with the new OS version up, that might be getting deprecated. So Xcode will tell, consider it replacing it with something else because over the time this will be removed. So that will be treated as well. There are multiple ways. We'll see all that in the coming chapters when we'll start coding. Okay, I think this is it for today.